Guys, how are we feeling today? Welcome to the return of Falcor's mighty adventures. I just couldn't help myself. I miss talking about like stuff in my life and things that happened in my life and a friend of mine, a friend of the channel, says he misses the Titan Quest videos too. So goddamn it, Falcor came back because the world needed him. And boy, oh boy, I have to admit, I felt so guilty playing with Falcor without you guys watching. So I'm kind of glad. This is, we're going back to the old ways. Okay, so by the way, I advanced pretty much a lot in this game. Well, no, like a little bit. But we're gonna see all of that again. We're just gonna, go through all of that again. A couple of things that changed. I have a new shield, I have a new sword, and I have this in here, Skyfire Pendant. Pretty good. So let's see how we advance. Today, I watched one of my favorite movies of all time. You might have heard of it. It's called Conan the Barbarian. Not the 2011 version. I haven't even watched that version, but I know it sucks. No, I'm talking about the original, the one where Arnold Schwarzenegger plays Conan the Barbarian. And I was watching it, and I remembered how like the ultimate lesson in that movie is that Conan has been told his whole life he can't trust anything but steel because of the harsh life that he lived through and his father's teachings. And like, you can only trust steel, like that's it. That's the only thing you can trust. And then like throughout the movie, spoiler alert, like his steel sword breaks. So he can't trust steel. But what he realizes is that in fact what he can trust is real friendship, and he can trust mankind. He can trust his loved ones and people that he's willing to sacrifice his life for, and they are willing to sacrifice their lives for him. So the lesson is, you can trust people, you can trust friendship. And that got me thinking and made me realize that today I'm going to talk about my first friends ever in my life. Which, I don't know, I suppose some people might be interested in. Here's the thing. I, as a person, I'm terrible remembering names, dates, numbers, things like that. Makes me pretty useless in today's world of numbers. But what I do remember really well are experiences and senses. And in fact, I'm pretty sure everyone knows by now that, for example, if you study and involve as many senses as you can into your study sessions, you're going to remember things way better for the exam. But that's also true for life experiences. If you're aware of different senses in your life as you experience things, you're going to remember those experiences way more effectively. And when I was a kid, so I'm talking like kindergarten up, I was really living in the moment. Like I had no idea, no concept of tomorrow or yesterday. I wasn't really thinking about the week or anything like that. I just remember focusing really on the now, which is something that we sort of forget to do nowadays. But when I was a kid, I really was focusing on like the moment. And this makes me remember things so well. Like I remember my childhood with such detail. I can like make a whole timeline of my childhood, and I remember first feeling certain emotions, like for example, more complex emotions like pity, or when you feel remorse for the first time, like more complex emotions, not so much like love, hate, disgust, These are more complex things that you sort of learn to feel as you grow up. I remember these like first moments, and I'm going to tell you about those over the coming videos. But for now, I just wanted to talk about my first ever friends. And let's start off when I was born. Guess where I was born? I was born, guess. I'm going to give you three options. A, Hungary. B, Argentina. Or C, I don't know, Japan or something like that. If you thought Hungary, well, that's a really good guess, but no. If you thought Argentina, because I live here now, well, damn, you're smart. But no, that's not the case. In fact, I was born in Minato-ku, Tokyo, Japan, in the medical university hospital. I think that's what it's called. I was born there. I don't remember making any friends there, so we're just going to skip to the next country I lived in, which is a little place called Argentina, which I don't remember much of, honestly. That I really don't remember anything about Argentina when I was 2 years old. But then we moved, skip, we moved to a place called Belgium. Some of you might have heard of this place. It's pretty civilized. Belgium is where where I have the first really strong memories as a kid. All these first emotions that I talked to you about just now, making my first friends, recognizing authority for the first time, getting to know strangers. Oh, new language, English, was introduced to me there. The concept of the week, like days in a week, and the like structure of time that we've created. All of this I learned in Belgium, and in fact I made my first ever like actual legit friend in Belgium. I'll tell you about him. Basically, I went to kindergarten. From kindergarten all the way to 4th grade, I went to this British private school called British English Private School, BEPS. It was either that or studying in a French private school. But my family ended up choosing BEPS because of the language it provided, English being more useful in today's world. Some people think that was a bad idea. I should have done French private school. I think it was genius. It was way more expensive. It really was an absolute small fortune that we had to pay to go to that school. But it was totally worth it because I have some of my most amazing memories as a child from BEPS. And I made very powerful connections, learned a lot of things. They're pro. These guys, these teachers, and the whole school is pro as hell. Like, they know what they're doing. But yeah, I'm talking about everything but friends. My first ever friend was a guy called Michael. Now, I think he's Michael. Like I said, I don't remember names too well, but it's either Michael or Calvin or Kyle. I asked my mom a few days ago, and she's like, "Oh, it's probably Calvin," but in my head, it's Michael. So let's just call him Michael. Now, this guy, what happened was when I was in kindergarten. This is a kindergarten friend of mine. I remember my mom left me there for the first time alone, and I was crying. I was super scared. Like, I didn't understand why I didn't have to be around mom. I remember she like left, and she's like, "You have to be alone now for a little bit, but I'm gonna come back." And I realized she was tricking me. Like, kids aren't that stupid. We think kids are stupid. I was fully aware that my mom was gonna leave me there for like the day. And I was like, "Why are you lying to me?" And I felt sad. I didn't understand what was going on. And I was there all alone, and these kids were playing with like tiny little toy cars and toy helicopters. I didn't want to play with those toys because I didn't know them too well. I was like, "These aren't mine. I don't know. I don't feel safe around here." The teacher was kind of ignoring me. She was being nice, but she had other things to do. And this guy, Michael, this kid comes over to me, and he's like, You want to be my friend?" And I'm like, "What?" I didn't understand the concept of friend, but I had seen like sort of like friendship in cartoons, so I was like, "Yeah, I want to be your friend, sure." And he's like, "Okay, let's go play together." And we started playing together, and whenever we had to pick a partner, I'd choose Michael and he'd choose me. And I remember as a little kid, toddler, I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. I remember thinking, man, like this guy chose me to do this activity together. And I remember how I started gaining the concept of loyalty. I remember I'd be like, I could choose anyone, but I'm going to choose Michael because I feel like I'm loyal to him because I'm his friend. And Michael introduced me to a whole bunch of like concepts like this for the first time in my life. And he really taught me what like real friendship is, even though we were still kids. And it never got really complicated. Friendships can get complicated, but when you're a kid, it's pretty simple. It's like you play together. If you do something wrong, the other person says sorry. There's no like pride involved or anything like that. I remember I'd be a dick to him sometimes, and then I'd be like, crap, I shouldn't have done that. I'm really sorry, Michael. And he'd be like, that's cool, let's just keep playing. And so we became really quick friends. But the thing about him was that like he was my friend when we were in the playground. Now, you guys, I don't know what your experience is with the playground, but the playground is where shit got real when you were a kid. You didn't have the protection of four walls. You didn't have the constant protection of an adult there. So, if you wanted to let out your fury on someone, the playground was a place to do it. And when you're a little kid, you're just as crazy as an adult. In fact, I'd say because you're sort of learning how to feel for the first time, kids can be extremely cruel. So, if you have a pal, if you have a good friend watching your back in the playground, that's a big deal. So he was my guy when we were in the playground, and Michael was the best damn sandcastle constructor on this side of the sea. Like to this day, I don't think there's anyone who can beat his talent, and he was just a little kid, but this guy was making complex architectural structures when we were making sandcastles. So that's what we did. All we did was build sandcastles in the playground, and to me that was like the best thing ever. I was like, I could do this all day, just make sandcastles with Michael. And usually what I'd do is I'd be the one digging the hole. I'd like dig. Oh, whoa! I think we have this. I'd dig the hole, and he would sort of teach me how to make like the peripheral area of the castle. He was like, you got to build it in layers, like shit. Like I'm thinking about it now, and I'm like, this guy was like an advanced spiritual being or something, because he was really cool. Point is, we had the best time ever, and we were like, best pals. And then at some point, Michael just comes up to me. We were building sandcastles, and in the middle of the construction, he's like, Mr. Farkas, I'm gonna go tomorrow. I'm leaving. And I'm like, this is the thing. When you're a kid, you don't necessarily have to respond to everything they tell you. That's why when you talk to a little toddler, sometimes they don't reply, and you're like, oh, a stupid kid can't even hear me or doesn't understand. No. The kid hears you perfectly fine. It's just that, we're going to skip this. Kid hears you perfectly fine. It's just that kids don't respond to everything they hear. They don't know how to, or they simply don't want to. Maybe it's boring to them. And that's what happened with me and Michael. He would tell me, Mr. Farkas, I'm leaving. You're not going to see me again. And I was like, okay. I was like, that's fine. And he's like, okay, well, like, you're going to have to find another friend. It's so sweet. And I'm like, No, I don't think so. And he's like, yeah, you do, because I'm not gonna be here. And this is the thing, like, when I was that age, I must have been like 4 or 5, I think, like preschool age. I was like, yeah, he's gonna go, but he's gonna come back, because I got used to the routine of, you go home, you don't see your friends, and then when you come back, when you go back to school, they're there again, and sometimes they might get there late, sometimes they won't come because they're sick. This is all normal, but eventually they come back. I wasn't aware of this idea that someone might leave your life forever. So I didn't quite grasp how important it was that he was saying goodbye. And I'm like, that's cool, and let's just build the sandcastle. And Michael's like, okay, let's just build a sandcastle. It's so sad. I remember this so well. Like, I remember the emotion so powerfully. Like, I can relive it, literally. And the next day, I go to the preschool. Jesus, I hope I don't cry because of this. But I go to preschool, and Michael's not there, and I was like, I'm gonna wait. I didn't want to ask the teacher because that's lame. I'm just gonna wait, and he wasn't there for lunch. He wasn't there when we were inside. He wasn't anywhere. And Jesus fucking Christ, so fucking emotional. Jesus. He wasn't there, and then we go outside, and I don't have my I don't have my sandcastle buddy, and I just felt so lonely. Like, it was the first time, I remember it so well, the first time I ever felt real loneliness. Like, powerful fucking emotional loneliness. And I remember I was all alone, and then I go up to the teacher, kind of like confused and angry. I'm like, where the hell is Michael? Where's Michael? And the teacher's like, oh, Michael left. And I'm like, what do you, yeah, but he's gonna come eventually. Like, is he gonna come tomorrow? Is he sick, or what is it? And she's like, her name was Mrs. Rose. And I'm like, and she's like, no, he's gone. He's not gonna come. And I'm like, okay, I'll wait for him. I sat down next to Mrs. Rose. And I was like, I'm just gonna wait for Michael here. I didn't want to like play without him. And Mrs. Rose, I remember she was like freaking out all of a sudden. She was like, crap, like this kid is actually like, he's going through something. And she like, I remember she like gets up and lowers her eye level, like sort of kneels down to look at me, and she's like, listen, you gotta understand, you're not gonna see Michael ever again. I'm really sorry. And I'm like, but I don't get it. Like, can you just explain it to me? Like, why would he leave? And she's like, people have to go sometimes. And she explained that Michael's parents had to go to America because Michael was American. And I'm like, America? Like, wow, I didn't understand. And she's like, yeah, I'm really sorry, but you're gonna have to make another friend. And I'm like, I don't want another friend. I want to be, I want Michael. And I think that's where she sort of like stopped caring, and she's like, listen, you're just gonna have to make new friends and that's it. And it's true, like in a way you can't like feed this feeling. Like, imagine a kid comes over and explains this shit to you. Like, you can't like feed that bad energy, like not bad energy, but it's gonna go nowhere. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, Michael's not gonna come back. Okay, there's no way. She's not gonna solve it. So the only thing you can do is really tell the kid to man up, and just find a new friend. And so, I don't remember ever like I don't remember what I did after that. I just remember I was really lonely for a really long time, and eventually I just moved on and I made new friends. But this is the thing, I don't remember any of my kindergarten friends, because I think I was only just trying to replace Michael, my best pal. So I don't remember their names. I just got new friends so that, you know, you're not alone in lunch or in nap time, or when you're, you know, playing around in the playground. You just have to have a group because you feel kind of safe. But I don't think they really were my friends. I would only ever make another friend starting in first grade, but throughout kindergarten, the only real friend I had was Michael. And in fact, yeah, I'd say that. First grade, I'd meet other friends who I'm going to talk to you about next week, because I made some really good friends in BEPS, and it was all starting off, Michael in kindergarten, but first grade, like, I made some serious pals. In fact, do I have time? I have 9 minutes. I guess I could talk to you about, okay, yeah. I can tell you just a couple of things, how I met these friends, but I can't tell you about any experiences yet. I don't have any time. But basically what happened was, I don't know if you remember, there's an episode, the Titan Quest episode, I talk about how there were different, like, I got used to different migrations from different schools, from different countries. And how in private schools this is something super common, that like every year there's like a huge wave of people from, let's say, India or you know, or America or England, and they all come at the same time, and they usually spend time alone by themselves, and you know, they just stick together. Well, in first grade, the immigration wave, the private school migration wave was Tanzania. So, and this is crazy, but I specifically remember what I felt when I first saw someone with darker skin, because these guys were Tanzanians, so they were very dark, very black. And I remember looking, like, there were these Tanzanian kids, and they barely spoke, well, no, they spoke pretty good English, but like they weren't talking much. They were very shy. And I remember the teacher was like, okay, hey guys, please welcome our friends from Africa, from Tanzania. And I remember I looked at one of them, who later became probably my best friend from my childhood in Belgium, one of my two best friends. His name was Muta Lebukwa Kajagi from Tanzania. And I'll never forget his name. He's the only friend to this day, the only friend whose phone number I remember perfectly fine. And I don't remember my current friends' phone numbers. I don't remember my own, yeah, but like my parents, I have to think about it. This guy's phone number was 358-5554. 358-5554. That was his Belgian number, and because it's the first phone number I ever had to remember. But the point is, I met this guy for the first time. I saw his skin was super black, and I was so confused. I was like, why is his skin so black? And it's so funny. My first instinct was that he painted it. I thought that he painted his skin black, and that all these people painted their skin black for some reason. And I'm like, that's so weird. Why would they do that? Like, my parents never painted my skin. And so I remember, like we started hanging out, because the teachers made us hang out with them so that they would feel like included. So they were like, you all have to hang out with the Tanzanians. And she would like grab me, and then she grabbed Muta and put us together, and they're like, okay, play. and we're like looking at each other, and I'm like, can I see your hand? and he understood. And like I look at his hand, and like one side of his hand is painted, the back side, and one side of the hand is not painted, which is this side. It was kind of lighter, and I'm like, why is your hand like this? And he's like, I was born like this. And I'm like, whoa. And your brothers too? Because basically they were all brothers. All these Tanzanians were a big family. And the ones that weren't brothers, they knew each other really well. They were kind of like family, but not really. And I'm like, you were all born like this? And they're like, and Muta's like, yeah. And I'm like, that is so cool. I remember thinking, man, these guys are so cool just because of their skin. And I'm like, man, I wish I had, I was born with darker skin. And we started playing around. Like that's basically it. Like I literally forgot about his skin color after that. I just remember thinking that's the coolest thing in the world. And after that, in fact, he was the one who introduced me to the whole fact that some kids are born with darker skin and some people are born with lighter skin. I don't remember anyone else explaining to me this thing. And in fact, up until then in kindergarten, there were no darker skinned kids. They were all like super white. And after the Tanzanians came, a whole bunch of different immigration waves came to the private school, and we got Indians, Tanzanians, Koreans, Japanese. They all sort of started appearing. And so that was like my first experience with race, I suppose. And it was a good one. I just remember how innocent the thought, like I remember it, like I thought their skin was painted. I didn't know that people were born with different colored skin, and Muta was the one who taught me that. And we became best pals with Muta. Like it was me and him against the world. It was me and him. Sorry, I thought I saw blue. Against the world, absolutely. And we would do everything together. We would run around, and we would do other things in the playground. Like we wouldn't do sandcastles that much anymore. But Muta also taught me how to make friends easily. I didn't know that you could walk up to someone and just be their friend when you were a little kid. After kindergarten, because in kindergarten you kind of can. I remember doing that. But when you start growing up, it gets kind of awkward. So I didn't know you could do that. I'm going to end the story here, actually. Muta taught me that. He's the one who taught me how to run, to sprint. I didn't know how to run quickly before him. He's the one who taught me to not like step on your heels when you're sprinting. And yeah, there's many stories that you're going to hear from Muta. Another friend I made was a guy called Matt from America. Matt had the coolest house I've ever seen in my life. They were all well off. Muta Labuk was really well off. Matt was also, pretty well off family. So they had everything. They had American goods. They brought in American food because they wanted to eat American food in Belgium. And us three, Matt, Muta, and I, we became inseparable, Three Musketeers level friendship there. We would get into all kinds of trouble. We would push the limits everywhere. I really do feel like they were my first ever group of friends. And you're going to hear plenty of stories from them, because I have many stories from Beps. That place was just jam-packed full of experiences. And I think I had plenty of experiences there, but also I was so aware, so living in the moment, that I remember all of it. So yeah, that's going to be the end of this episode. Hope you liked it. And next Friday, we're going to continue with Falcor's Mighty Adventures. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys. Bye-bye.